My name is Edwin Zapata, author of the Amazon best-selling book, Your Next Step, New Tools for Financial Abundance Now.
I'm Geraldine Carrier, the author of the upcoming book, Wild Woman, Master the Art of Pride, Presence, and Productivity.
A book can be more than just stories. It can engage your audience, create opportunities, generate leads, but only if you have the book work for you.
BCBtv presents Message to Millions, where we spotlight authors and get their message to millions.
Hey everybody, welcome to Message to Millions, Author Spotlight, where we spotlight authors and get their message to millions. My name is Edwin Zapata, author of the Amazon best-selling book, Your Next Step, New Tools for Financial Abundance Now, and I'm here with my co-host,
Geraldine Carrier, and I'm the author of the upcoming book, Wild Woman, Master the Art of Pride, Presence, and Productivity.
So today we have a super special guest. She's not just a speaker, but she's also a personal transformation mentor. She specializes in activating the inner light leader in you. In Scotland, she won the Outstanding Woman Award in Business, and she's an advocate for women empowerment, and she brings out the best in women that want to be boss babes. She has written 5 books, one of which was gifted at the Oscars and was a hit of a book. Now, she is the author of 101 plus ways to overcome life's biggest obstacles. And if you go to her website, LailaKhanAuthor.com, you can get a free downloadable copy of her book. Our guest today is none other than the one and only Miss Leila Khan.
Woo-hoo! What an intro!
Yeah. I'm so excited to have you here. How are you feeling?
I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be here in conversation with you both.
I love it. Of course, this is not one of the main questions, but how have you been feeling since COVID, since the world has been opening up? How has that been?
Do you know what? Okay, great question. So for me, I've actually been really excited. I feel like we were born for this time. What it did for me personally is, I'll tell you this, right? So I remember in March of 2020, something clicked in me, and I sat in my house and I thought to myself, you know what? There is no more time to waste. It is game on, meaning there was no more time for me to hide my confidence. There was no more time left for me to hide my smarts, my intelligence. There was no more time or excuses for me to hide how powerful I am and to hide my light. And I remember that moment. I sat in my flat and I thought, you know what? This is it. No matter what fears are in the way, no matter what stories I've been telling myself, no matter how limited I felt, it was time to get out of my own way, because the world needed and needs my light, my voice, and my power. And when I and you activate your light, your voice, your power, we give permission to others to do the same. And so from that time period, I just started to show up. I was on social media doing live streams every single day. The conversations that I was having with people who were deep in fear were really powerful, and they would come to me like, how are you so courageous and happy and brave, and the world is going through all this? And to be honest with you, I was in my own little bubble, knowing that God had me, and that it was my time, and it was my time to work with those whose time it was also to do the same.
I love that.
I like how you put that, because sometimes you can actually find more strength for others than yourself, which is strange and ironic at the same time, because we always say how, if you're gonna save someone, you should save yourself first. If you're gonna help someone, help yourself first. If you're on an airplane, the bag comes down and they say, put the oxygen mask on first so you can help other people. And a lot of times we have our own storm internally, and somehow we're able to bring all the light to the exterior, essentially putting on a poker face, and we're able to take that light and share it with those that are in the same darkness that we are internally, and somehow basically light the way for others while we remain in the dark, but don't stay in the dark. And it's just funny how sometimes we have that, like how you mentioned, right? You were going through your own stuff as well, but
Yeah.
that very same thing, you end up lighting so many people that it comes back around, and then the emptiness or the darkness that you have will come from somebody else's light. So it's kind of like a, what's the word, like pay it forward sort of thing.
Yes. I'm so big on that. Like it's incredible how, so I believe that we embody certain archetypes throughout our life. And I have always, like naturally, always been the teacher and the role model. I lead by example and I teach, and I can't help it. Like it's so unconscious because it's me, it's who I am, it's how I communicate, it's how I show up, it's what I've embodied. And so for all my life, I was always going through storms and coming out of them incredibly powerfully. So my childhood was marred by domestic violence, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse. It was the kind of childhood that you never want to wish on any child. By the age of 12, I had attempted suicide because I could not handle anymore. Of course not. No child should ever be able to handle any amount of pain. And the rejection and the abandonment from my own family, dad in particular, was so painful for me to hold that at that age I was done. I was just done. And something amazing happened in that moment very shortly after, where I had, like, this was my first spiritual awakening at 12 years old. And it was this moment between me and God. And I remember saying to God, okay, fine, I'm alive. Fine, I'm alive. I'm here. I don't want to just be alive. I want to feel alive. I want to feel alive. And I remember saying to God, help me to be happy and healthy and not angry, so that I can help my family and other people not be angry and frustrated, and and let them, show them how to be happy as well. So at 12 years old, this actually became a promise between myself and God, and it was so powerful. And that day, I actually emotionally cut myself off from my family, and I decided I was going to walk through life, me and God and my angels, my angel crew, as I call them, right? My badass angel crew who've saved my life on many an occasion. And I am now 41, and I have literally spent every single day since I was 12 years old honoring that promise, staying in my integrity as best as I possibly can. And yes, I've failed, and yes, I've faltered, and it's been so hard to see that part of myself, but it had to happen. And so what I've done throughout my life is to make sure I keep that promise by me overcoming the storms that I've been through, and then teaching others how they can come out of theirs as well. And so coming back to, swinging back to the first question, 2020 was, I looked around at the world and I said to myself, I've been where you guys are right now, and I have come through it, and I'm strong enough to hold my own strength, and I can do the same for you, and I will show you how to find your own light, your own courage, and your own power. And so the storms serve a purpose. They serve a really strong purpose. And I like you're saying, pay it forwards, and I believe and talk about the ripple effect, right? We have gifts to share, and those of us who are we're all capable, we're all strong enough, we're all smart enough, and we're here to help each other. We're here to help each other. And so it's just me fulfilling a very, very deep promise until the day my flame goes out.
This is why she's a inner light leader, for those who are wondering. I want to ask this though, because you mentioned something, and for those that maybe are not too familiar or are maybe curious, you mentioned we identify. I think that's what you said. We identify with different archetypes, or what was the phrase that you used? That we basically take on different archetypes. What do you mean by archetypes? For those that are not too familiar, maybe are curious. Hey, what archetype am I?
Yeah. So archetypes are like energy or energy, you could say energy bodies or energetic bodies. So they are like, how do I describe it? Okay, so it's like energetic bodies. I'm going to give you some examples. Okay, so I'm a Sagittarius here. Curious, what star signs are you? Yay! Jer is a Sagittarius. Edwin?
Leo.
Oh my
All
gosh.
get along.
Yeah, we're on fire. Right, so we're all fire. So for me, when I was about 9 years old, 8 9 years old, I used to buy magazines. I love magazines, and I would always be drawn to the horoscopes, but I never really resonated with the whole read your horoscope to know what's going to happen. I really was interested in the Sagittarius archetype, and pretty much my whole life I have tapped into this archetype. So an archetype is this energetic body, and it's, you could say, it's characteristics to do with whatever the title might be. And so we have different archetypes. The main four, here's what an archetype is. It's a consciousness. It's a type of consciousness, right? So we have four main types of consciousness that have power and a shadow. Okay, so a high frequency and a low frequency. So you've got the king, the warrior, the magician, and the lover, right? These are your highest. The king can be replaced with queen or sovereign. Warrior, what was it? Lover.
I'm like looking at my book, it's right here.
Have you got it? Yay! My one's somewhere behind there. And so you also have the lower frequency. So you have the child, you have the prostitute, you have the victim, and you have one more, the saboteur. And so these are core consciousnesses, you could say, within us. And throughout our life or our lives, we embody different aspects of these archetypes. We grow through them, we become them, we experience what they're like. And then we remember, hopefully most of us, we remember to come back into the power of that. So my life experience has been about moving through that. And I know that there are goddess archetypes as well. And we can tap into Venus and Isis and Lilith as well. You can tap into the Divine Mother. Like the Divine Mother actually comes through me has always forever come through me very strong. And again, it's unconscious. And so I don't necessarily realize when I'm mothering people, and not mothering as in smothering, but really like a divine mother, just loving her babes, you know. So it's just a fascinating journey, and it's really fascinating to take people through that archetype. And so my other archetypes are the role model, the mentor, and the teacher, and there's nothing I can do about it. It is what it is, and I accept it and show up in that way.
Is there a test somebody can do to
There
figure
is.
this?
There's lots of tests.
Yeah.
But I want to Kate, I want to go back a little bit into the idea that you spoke about, in that, you know, sometimes in the environments that we grow up in aren't as nurturing or as loving. And one thing that I used COVID for was to really delve into the idea of understanding what, you know, sex, love, and relationships actually mean, what they actually look like, where I was in all of that mix, right? And I think it's really interesting that you spoke about how you grew up in a family where, you know, they weren't necessarily something that you wanted to mimic, right? And like, because it's so important for us to have mentors and people to look up to and actually want to become to be like. How did you, you know, break free from that stuff? Like, what were the steps that you did or that you took in order for you to actually become, you know, as, you know, the person that you are today? Like, what are some things that you would pass on to other people who might also be feeling that way?
Do you know what? I so love this question because right today, I was at one of my favorite little coffee shops, and I was speaking to this new waitress, and she looked at me. I've been in a couple of times, and she looked at me and she said, "Oh, I'm so jealous." She said, "I'm so jealous of you," and she said that with a smile, and there wasn't that kind of antagonistic, like, you know, icky feeling. And she said, I said, oh, what do you mean? Why? And she said, you're just so free. And I looked at her and I went off on one and I told her all my stories. So here's the thing. I have had to fight for my freedom. I have tooth and nail. I have had to fight for my freedom. I have fought for my life to be alive physically. I've had near-death experiences. I've had people wanting to hurt me, people wanting to take my life. And I've come through all of that. This isn't necessarily stuff that I share on public, on social media, and the details I can't go into for legal reasons. But me fighting for my freedom has been a journey of letting go of ideas, first of all, meaning conditioning, right? So my family are Pakistani, and I grew up in a really strict Muslim household. And I never really fit into the Pakistani culture. It's so beautiful. Like, the community is so, so powerful and so loving and caring. But I was never really part of the fold, and there was nothing I could do to be part of it. Like, I never forced myself into it. I was just naturally on the outside. So growing up, I had to let go of these ideas. You know, I really had to challenge what I believed. And I wanted to just wear, this is an example, I just wanted to wear whatever I wanted to wear. But when you grow up in a strict household, a strict culture, you could say, that has, you know, very clear ideas on how you should dress and shouldn't dress, I was constantly fighting for the freedom just to wear a t-shirt and jeans, right? And it was incredibly difficult, because that is the kind of stuff that would result in violence. And I would be like, all I'm trying to do is just wear a t-shirt and jeans and some trainers, you know, or to have my hair out. So it was challenging the ideas. It was also challenging my own perceptions of who I am. So, you know, when you could say another two archetypes, so like the little girl and the strong woman, right? I really had to support the little girl in me through healing, through counseling, through coaching, mentoring, and create this sense of safety for her, because my parents couldn't do that for her. So she was constantly in like survival mode, and she didn't know where her place was. And so where life externally, there was so much rejection and abandonment, it was my responsibility as the strong woman or the strong mother to the inner child. It was my responsibility to love her, make her feel safe, and to help, and to really help her believe she can do anything, she can wear anything, she can go anywhere she wants to, she can be anything that she wants to, she can make all of her dreams come true, she is safe, and we're good, and we're going to go change this world. Because that kind of behavior is not acceptable, and it's not how anyone should ever be treated. So a big thing for me was really challenging all these ideas about how societies and cultures say we should be.
Having gone through that experience, I see why you are so, so passionate when it comes to women empowerment and bringing out the best in women. Because of course, I didn't go through that journey, but hearing your story, and I know Gerry has her story, and lots of other women have their stories when it comes to helping to empower women. And you've basically gone from left to right, so to speak. Now, when you have women that are in different areas of the world that maybe culturally haven't, I want to say, haven't adjusted to a bit more leniency in terms of, dressing differently or having a bit more freedom in that sense, and they come to you and they say, Leila, you don't understand my parents, this and that. You don't understand my culture, my city, my town, my religion. They don't allow me. When they say this, and you've gone through it yourself, what kind of advice would you have for a woman that's thinking and feeling those things, and maybe they don't have somebody in their circle or in their town that would have something inspiring? What would you say to somebody like that?
Great question. So here's the thing. It is hard on your own, right? It is hard to walk your own path, but there comes a point where you start to see the evidence that there are other people along the way to support you. And when women grow up in cultures which are suppressive, right? So, okay, so if we look at the patriarchal model is not about men versus women. The patriarchal model wants to completely diminish the divinity of masculine energy and feminine energy. That's what it wants to do. And so patriarchy diminishes the masculine energy of men, the divine energy, and the feminine energy of women. And we all have both. So what happens is that there's this imbalance, and this imbalance has become toxic, right? The energy has become toxic. I don't believe people are toxic. That would take it's people are pure, pure love. That's how I see them. But behaviors, ideas, stories, blah blah blah, conditioning has made them be in such a way. So when a woman is going through the stuff that she's going through, when she's fighting for her freedom, she's not fighting, oh, my dad said I can't do this, or my mum said I can't do that, or, my family said I can't marry that person, or whatever. That's not actually what she's kind of fighting against and kind of hitting against. What she's actually hitting against is the energetics of the purity of feminine energy and the purity of masculine energy. So I would say get out of your head and come into your heart and what is right and true for you. And then you walk like a lioness with that power. Yeah, right? You walk with that power like a lioness, and you know that you are supported because you're not buying into ideas. You are honoring your divine energy. Woo! The stuff
I know. I'm like, okay, so this is beautiful. This is beautiful. I was actually, I think it was a podcast, or I was doing something the other day, and they were asking me about, well, how did you turn into a wild woman, right? Like, how did the book and becoming an author and how, like, did that actually help you, right? Because now, I'm speaking on stages and I'm performing around the world and all of these things. And I can honestly say that piece that you spoke about, that eloquence of actually feeling okay to be who you are and, broadcasting yourself, and this is who I am, and you're going to deal with it no matter what, right? So how has that journey been for you to actually embody that and take that power back for yourself, and now to actually teach other women to do the exact same thing, right? And become an author and a speaker. How has that been?
Do you know what? Seriously, I love you guys. This interview is so cool. This conversation is so powerful. So,
and guys, please don't go out there to try to become wild men. It's not the same thing, okay, guys?
Become the warriors, the divine warriors. Do you know what? It's actually been, so there's been the contrast. I've had the storms that I go through, because in the storm, there is healing, there is transformation, there is shifting, there is a creation of the new world, right? And I will forever go through storms. Like, there's nothing that I can do to manifest out of them, because they are part of my life's purpose as a role model, as a teacher, and as a mentor. Again, I said that's all unconscious in my human design. If anybody's interested, I'm a manifesting generator, emotional authority, and a 4-6. So I am like, what is it? The royal opportunist and role model, or something like that. So coming back to the question, basically what I did, I would have the storms, I'd be going through the storms. Like I explained about my childhood, I then went through forced engagement, and it took me 5 years to get out of that. And I only got out of it because I walked away from the family. And there's a whole story there about fighting the culture. because the cousin didn't want to marry me, but he just was going to do it to please his mum. And I was like, no, mate, like, I'm not marrying anybody for convenience. Like, I want true love. So I'm going to walk away. And I put my life at risk. I put my life at risk when I did that. At the same time, and then my ex-husband was from the Caribbean, and there was that whole story and experience there, and divorcing him. And those were the storms. On the other hand, I got hyper-focused in succeeding, in getting my qualifications. No matter what was going on, I was going to sit and I was going to study and I was going to learn French and I was going to become a teacher. In the meantime, I worked at Harrods. I was there at Harrods for about 5 years, which was a dream job, you know, coming from London, this like store that is just the epitome of abundance and wealth and elegance and like big dreams. And the people I met, the energy that I was around was just like, oh my gosh, for the little girl from the inner city, where, you know, I would hear gunshots every day and I would hear police sirens all the time and all the stuff that I was going through at home. To go to work at Harrods was just like, wow, I'm doing really, really well. I was then, I lived in France for a year, and when I came back, finished my degree at one of the top universities for languages in the UK, of course. And then I was headhunted for a job in the City of London. Now, this one blew my mind because I was just like, what? These people have found my CV, and this is a multinational company and a multi-million international company. And I was taken on, and they kind of pretty much begged me to take the job because I was like, no, I can't do it. Oh my God, I'm not good enough. This was a job where I was in charge of pretty much like the beautiful not tower blocks, but the buildings that you see in the City of London. Canary Wharf was one of my territory areas. So I was selling office space. And I made brought in 1.5 million pounds within 18 months into the company. And the highest deal that I signed was £500,000, right? I was just like, oh my God. And then I was at the top. I was with the board. I was with the directors, and they were all white, middle class, rich, settled in their families, you know. They had everything. And then there was me coming along saying, hi, raw as anything, heart and soul. And that was just incredible. And so I continued to do that. So when I left that job, I wanted to really like get my qualification to be a teacher. Within 2.5 years of me qualifying from a new teacher, I made it right to the top and I became assistant head teacher. And this was in a school which was white, middle class, in a really nice part of London. And there was a lot of racism. There was a few months before I joined, there was actually some murders in that area which were racially aggravated. And so I came into the school as the only non-white teacher, and Muslim and short, and from the inner city. And I went from hair to hair because, to come back to your question, because I had embodied my truth. I embodied my energy. I embodied and integrated my own healing. And I was not going to take any rubbish from anyone. I was like, no, my life matters. You're not going to look at the color of my skin and judge me, because I decide that my life matters. You're not going to look at my height and decide that I don't matter. I'm going to wear whatever, and I'm going to show up as I really truly am, because my life matters. You're not going to tell me that I can't talk about this, that, or the other, because actually I can talk about whatever I want, because my life matters. And the life experiences I had prior to all of this, or along the way, all those storms, they matter. And they matter because they made me who I am. and I have a duty to go back to my people, the people who get me, who resonate with me, that, you know what, if I can do it, you can do it, and pass it on and pass it on and pass it on.
What about all those skeptics? For sure, you probably get people to say that's hogwash. That's not real. That's fairy tales. That's hoo-ha. That's make-believe. All this inner light work, positivity, wild woman, whatever. What about all the skeptics? Do you get any of those?
So my answer to the skeptics is, okay, cool, you just sit there. You just stay there. You enjoy your cup of tea whilst we go and change the world.
I'm not one of the skeptics, by the way.
You better not be.
No way.
So I do have the haters, of course I do. And they're just people who basically, they see, so this girl that I was speaking to this morning, when she said to me that she's jealous, and she said it with a smile, and she might be in her 20s, mid-20s maybe. And like I said, there wasn't like an antagonistic or feeling or tension. But I said to her, I said, look, this is what jealousy is. If you were to imagine two people in a bubble, one person is in their light, the other person has a hole or some holes, right? So this is leaky energy. This person on the left sees this person on the right and sees that the person on the right is, say, confident, or like the girl was saying, oh, you're so free. She saw that in me, and she saw a lack in herself. So one of the holes was just, I'm not free. And I said to her, jealousy is just you looking at somebody, noticing what they have, and thinking you don't have it, but you do. So you have to look inwards to that hole or that leaky energy and fill it with your own love, with your own power, with your own light. And that is how we heal the world of jealousy. In a nutshell, basically. And I get it all the time.
See, like literally there's so many different things that I want to ask, and there's, but the thing for me is like, okay, so again, going back to, we didn't come from, and all of us, we've all had, the shortcomings, all the things that we've had to go against in order for us to fight to be these people today, right? And it's been a hard fight. It hasn't been easy. And, people will see that and they'll be like, oh, well, I mean, you're a wild woman. You must have had everything handed to you. And it's like, no, like I had to fight really hard to get here, right? Whether it's, demanding respect in boardrooms and, breaking all the different barriers that come being a woman and being a woman of color and all of those different things. But now that you have that sense for yourself, right? You know who you are, you have that presence, you're able to exuberate it in everything that you do, and you turn that into productivity, right? You now have, skills, tools, and strategies to be able to help people with that. What is your message to millions? What do you want people to take from, your experience and what you're actually offering the world?
I want them to know, I really want them to know and to tap into their own power, because as a humanity, we've been in our shadow. We've been stuck in the wounded little girl or the wounded little boy. And it's not because we wanted to. The systems that have been set up for us to not win. The systems have been set up for us to fight for our own selves, right? And so the wounded little boy, the wounded little girl, we can love them within ourselves. We do that first, and then we love others in their space. And so my message is, there's so many different things, you know what I mean? But it's like, we're here to be happy. We're here to be wealthy, and we're here to be ourselves, and we do not have to apologize for our life. We do not have to apologize for our difference. We don't have to fight for it. We don't have to apologize for it. And it is up to us to be brave enough and courageous enough each and every single day to say, I matter. My life matters. and don't even think about taking that away from me until God decides.
So now I see how you've been able to specialize in bringing out people's inner light, how you've been able to become such a mentor. And we didn't even get to touch on this, but how, like, now I see why your book was so special, your 101 Plus Ways book, that it was a gift at the Oscars, right? And don't worry, for those listening, that's not why Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. It's, that's probably what calmed everybody down. If anything, that's probably Chris Rock probably read her book beforehand, and that's why he was able to keep it all together.
Yeah, exactly.
But with all that being said, I see why you've become such a powerful teacher and coach, because essentially, like you said, that's one of the archetypes you've taken on, is like the mentorship role. And when people coach with you, what can they expect? Because you hear so many different people saying, like, I'm a health and wellness coach and this and that, and everybody has something different to share. This doesn't mean I'm watering people down, but because of because of the vast experience that you have, when somebody goes to coach with you, what kind of journey can they expect to get from when they first have their first session with you to when they come out of it? Oh no, that's not a good sign.
It is. Do you know what? It's because there's so much depth to me that has been embodied. I can't niche, and I'm not meant to niche. I'm meant to connect with certain souls. Exactly right. I'm meant to connect with certain souls who get my vibe, who we have a soul purpose together. We have a soul contract together. So they'll get this, right? So the experience of coaching with me is there's a lot of love, for sure. There is just this, like, I've got you, babe. We're good. Let's go. Clarity and focus. Deep dives into who this person is. What do they actually want? Who are they here to be? What do they actually want to experience? Like, these deeper questions that get right to the heart, right? Right to the heart of who they are and their essence. I don't play small in life, and I don't expect that from my clients either. And the commitment it takes to choose yourself is a daily decision. And so a lot of my work, especially my one-to-ones, like, my price is incredibly high, and I honor the journey and the journey that I've been on, and the value that I've extricated from everything that I've been, everything that I've been through, because the depth that I can take people through takes a lot of courage. Do you know what I mean? And it takes someone to say, I want to go there because I want to be happy, like truly deeply embodied and happy. And so it's not cheap work. It's not easy work. It's real. It's authentic, because I don't do any of this, like, kind of mollycoddling and, this, like, fake positivity and all of that stuff. I'm like, be real. What is the grief that you're feeling, holding on to and carrying? Be real. What is the deepest love you want to experience? Like, be real, and you can tell me in this space, in this container, who you're becoming, and we're going to go on this journey together, because the world needs your light, your power, your presence, your confidence.
What about those that are maybe struggling right now and are thinking, because I remember thinking this as well, and breaking free from this paradigm was like earth-shattering to me. What about those that think to be spiritual, you have to accept a life of being broke?
Oh my gosh. Do you know, it's rubbish. It's complete. It's another language of conditioning to keep people small. And you have to, okay, if I had sleeves, I'd be rolling them up now.
That's why she took them off, folks.
Exactly. Rolled them up too much. So we are spiritual beings. Like, first and foremost, we are spiritual beings. We're souls having this human experience. Your human is going on a journey. Your soul is eternal. Your soul is made up of like pure abundance, right? All your dreams, all your gifts, all your fears, all your ideas, all your stories, everything is part of your abundance. And we're moving into a time where those of us who can courageously claim millions and multi-millions, whether that's in cash or experiences or personal love, whatever it might be, we're going to be the winners, because we are saying, I'm not here to be broke. I'm not here to be poor. So a few weeks ago, I declared this over and over again. And this is the work that I've been doing for years, really helping women to come out of the breakthrough vows of poverty. And I declared it again recently. And I was like, that's it, I'm done. I am the paradigm of poverty does not exist in my world anymore. Does not exist. I'm not vibrating at that frequency anymore. And since then, like, so much money has come my way, so many more opportunities have come my way, so many ideas. Like, I can't even begin to tell you what is happening in my world at the moment. It's like, what is going on? Because I am claiming my divine abundance by not buying into this whole thing of, oh, if you're spiritual, you have to be poor, or if you're spiritual, you can't charge for your gifts. My coaching for a year is 100K, right? 100K. And I own it. It is what it is for the right person. It is exactly what she or he is looking for, because they understand that in order to be who you are really here to be, you have to go on a journey to unravel all these aspects within you, so that we can move into a new world where everyone is rich, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, wealthy, happy.
I love it. There's so, like, again, whenever I talk to you, again, I know Leila, from a long time ago. And again, she was somebody that I wanted to mimic and, become and do her coaching business. And I mean, I think it's really cool that I'm wearing gold, because, there's this like beaming heart feeling that's coming from this podcast. And I hope everybody that's, watching this, listening to this, is also going to get the same feeling, because, this is what authenticity is. And this is what, becoming a leader is, and shining and broadcasting and just showing yourself, right? I hope that you guys can feel that just as much as I'm feeling it, just listening to you. And I know that you are a leader that, of course, is giving, and you want to have other people have the same experience as well. So, how can people get a hold of you? How can they reach out to you?
So I'm all over social media, or mainly Instagram and Facebook. So come find me. So on Instagram it's Leila, Leila, and another A, and then Khan, and on Facebook Leila Khan author, and you've got my website as well, leilakhanauthor.com. I've got podcasts, I've got YouTube videos, I've got so much content out there as well, which is, again, deep and powerful. And there's so much more to come. I've got loads of courses and masterminds and private coaching details as well, mainly through my social media and my email as well.
I love it. Thank you so much. And again, for anybody that's out there, take advantage of that opportunity to reach out to Leila, because she, again, has so much content to offer. And like I said, that's what we're all about here, at Black Card Books. We're here and we want, you to, have your story and to be able to teach people and get your message out to millions, right? So one of the things that we wanted to extend to everybody is one of our books. It's called The Millionaire Mindset by the incredible Gerry Robert himself, who was a mentor to all of us. We want to offer that to you. You can go and get that now at bit.ly/BCB books. You guys can go ahead and get that now. And I'm excited. Thank you so much for being here with us. Thanks, Edwin. Another amazing podcast. Thank you guys so much. And we'll catch you guys in the next one.
BCBtv. Believe, create, become.